Well, welcome everyone back to the Nobleshire for Progressive Discussion here at Progressive Rock Central. Thank you, Louise Hilborne, for taking time out of your busy schedule to discuss your brother David Hilborne's compilation and tribute album, Echoes from an Empty Chair. We're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to talk about Louise. She is been inspired by putting this together, and she may be recording her own album, or she'll tell us more about that in a minute here. But welcome, and do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So in my review, I wrote, or the day that I was writing that just happened to coincide, not by purpose or anything, but it just happened to coincide with the anniversary of Eric Boulette passing. He was a integral member of Nova Cascade. Um, do you want to mention anything about Eric? And we still miss him, and he was a fantastic person and a wonderful musician as well.
Unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to meet with him face to face, but we did converse via messages. And I always found him to be an absolute gem of a human being. He really was. I'm sure David had already told you this, but
Yes.
he was also so dedicated that he was playing music on the album The Navigator right up until a few days before he passed.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure that he left David with enough material. Now, what other human being would do something
It's
like
thinking
that?
about
He
that.
was, honestly, he was an angel. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very sadly missed.
And
Yeah. Wonderful
unfortunately,
man.
Dave also, as you mentioned, about 2 weeks after I talked with him, and then he was another incredible individual. The whole Nova Cascade. And if somehow you're watching this and you've never heard of Nova Cascade, you got to catch up with it, and you can get the whole discography. It is wonderful, beautiful music, very calm, and a lot of wonderful lyrics, but the music itself is just what you need. It just really calms you. And that voice that David had and his way of doing things and everything, just an incredible person. I'm so happy I was able to meet him. And unfortunately, in the way, or what happened shortly thereafter, but he was an incredible individual. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up with him?
Where do I begin?
I know.
There was 9 years between David and I. Um, we welcomed him into the world in January 1969. Um, the boy my parents always wanted. I have a sister, but they always wanted a son. Um, it wasn't without problems. My mum became very, very ill, both during the pregnancy and afterwards. So at 9 years old, I took on the mantle, if you like, of mummy. So
A lot.
David and I grew very, very close, very, very quickly. Um, Fast forward until he was about sort of 10, something like that. And he came to live with me and my then husband. Um, he showed so much interest in music from a very early age. I'd often catch him in the bedroom singing along in the mirror with a hairbrush
Wow.
to singing at the top of his voice to a band, The Darts. And then his music tastes changed. He wanted to listen to the likes of Peter Hamill, Peter Gabriel, Genesis, Talk Talk. He just literally drank it all in. He loved music. And when he was in senior school, I think you maybe call it high school
High
over
school.
there,
Yep.
senior school here.
Yep.
Um, he tried to learn guitar, he wanted to learn keyboards and things like that. And his music teacher turned round and he said, I wouldn't bother, David. You've got as much talent in your body as I've got, you know, you just got no talent, basically. So David set out to prove them wrong. Fast forward, and David had 4 number 1 albums in the ambient progressive rock charts, singles, a very nice, huge following of fans, very loyal fans. Um, and basically, he never looked back. And it was really, I think, being told that he couldn't do it that spurred him on to prove everybody wrong. And he certainly took that challenge and ran with it. And he just made us all so incredibly proud. Um,
And that voice, I mean, maybe he had trouble
oh,
playing instruments. I doubt that, but
no,
that voice, I mean, from the
yeah,
criticism they were giving him, but they overlooked his voice. That was a big mistake because that voice was just,
yeah.
there's
Well,
few.
at that time when he was in school, he never attempted to sing, you see.
Oh my
He just was
goodness.
trying to learn instrumentation. But when he left school, that's the first thing he did. He started singing more and he taught himself how to play keyboards, how to do all the programming. He taught himself acoustic guitar. He learned how to drum. He learned harmonies, various rhythms, everything other than lead guitar and bass guitar on all of those albums was David.
Oh.
Um, so yeah, so he
There,
proved everybody wrong. But that voice, I agree, it was divisive. A lot of people would say, "Oh no, it's too soft, it's too whispery, or it's too harsh." It's
oh my goodness.
yeah, there was a lot of division in whether people liked his voice or not. But that just made him even more determined because he wanted to be unique, and he was unique.
Yeah, and everyone does have a unique voice, but
Yeah,
his just that calmness. I mean, I'm
absolutely.
telling you, I when I first heard Nova Cascade, I was like, where have I been?
Yeah,
How did I miss this?
mm,
Because this was coming up, and I was listening to Pendragon and IQ and some of those bands, and
yeah,
somehow I never really heard about Nova Cascade. I don't know
no,
why or how, but I wish I had. Um, but doesn't matter when you find out, as long as you do find out. And
absolutely.
and when I did, I was like, this guy should have been all over Prog magazine. He should have
Yeah,
been up there with those bands I just mentioned.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't understand that at all because
mm,
now people are comparing him to Marillion's new singer, which
that's right.
I'm a I'm a Fish fan. I don't actually like
He
the
was a huge fan of Fish
yeah.
and
I
Mark
don't like
Hollis.
the new guy as much. I mean, nothing wrong with him. He's doing a
No,
great job. I have no adversity towards him, but there's no one that it's kind of like John Bonham and
yeah,
even well, John Bonham. Um, you can't replace these people, and
no.
I don't think this new guy has replaced Fish in any way. So
Now he's bringing something different, isn't he, to the table?
yeah,
You
but
know,
and
that,
there's nothing wrong with it. It's great, and a lot of people. I'm in the minority. A lot of people love what he's done, and they
yeah,
would never go back to the Fish stuff. But anyway, but no. So I'm hearing comparisons between those two, and and I don't know who got there first, but I know David was making albums probably longer than he has been. So anyway, but David really just that voice, that calmness. It's something we needed back then, but we need it even more today with everything that's going on. And I've got Boxman right here. I don't know if I can point to it. There it is. And we may talk a little bit about that, but we're primarily um, concerned with echoes from an empty chair. But she may talk about some of the older albums as well, even before that. But just that that sound that just you just well, I did anyway. When I first heard it, it's like you turn everything off. You stop doing whatever you're doing. He just rivets you to that sound, and you're like, "What is this?" I've never heard anything like this. And that calming voice, that calming sound, even though he's talking about some at times very sad situations and things like that, it's exactly what we need. And I thank him for that, amongst everything else. But so you, just to divert a minute here, you told me that David and you are both from the city of Portsmouth. I don't know why I'm
Portsmouth, Portsmouth in Hampshire,
Portsmouth, Hampshire,
right? Yep.
in the UK. And I kind of asked you this, but let's see how you feel today. Um, what are some of your favorite places to visit? You got a beautiful, looks like waterfront, but go ahead.
Well, Portsmouth now is very different to the Portsmouth that David and I grew up in. Portsmouth that David and I grew up in wasn't built up. There was no Spinnaker Tower. There was beautiful greenery. There was a beautiful place that we used to visit as children called the Rock Gardens. We used to love to go there with our parents at night because it was all be lit up and we'd watch the fish swimming around. We'd listen to the waterfalls. It was a very calming, beautiful place to be. In fact, that is the area that my brother's ashes are going to be scattered in because we had such very happy memories of being there. The Portsmouth of today, unfortunately, yes, we have the Spinnaker Tower, which is a very big tourist attraction. We have Henry VIII's flagship there, the Mary Rose, which was brought back from the sea, which is a great exhibition for anybody that wants to see, something that old. We have we have Nelson's flagship, HMS Victory. Unless you're particularly short, I'd avoid it. I'm only 5'1", and I can just about stand up on the inside. It was obviously back in the day, the sailors must have been very, very short because
Yeah.
it's very, very small inside and claustrophobic. But that said, it is a beautiful, beautiful ship to look at.
I couldn't believe how many cannons are on the side of that.
Oh, it is
It
stunning.
is. Yeah, yeah.
It is stunning. But I would say, unless you're short, don't go below deck.
Okay. All right. What are some of your favorite hobbies? I know uh, um, you've been working on all of the preparations for David and things like that. But when you do have time, what are some of the things you do like to do?
Um, well, if I'm honest, spending time with my family. I like to see my daughter and my grandson. I love to see, family from all over. We're scattered all around the place, to be honest with you. So normally on a Sunday, we'll meet up and we'll have a nice family meal together.
Good, good.
Um, my other hobby is walking my dog. He's actually out with friends tonight. Otherwise, he'd be up on my lap causing all sorts of chaos. But yeah, I like to go for nice country walks with the dogs. I don't really have a lot of other hobbies other than listening to music. And I have to be honest and hold my hands up and say that 99% of the music I listen to is what my brother left me,
Yeah.
because he made a point of every time he wrote a piece of music, he would look at me in the eyes and he'd say, "This is for you. I wrote this for you." And to me, that is the greatest gift that anyone could ever give me.
Yeah.
You know, because I can feel him in every note.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, as soon as I listen to his music, especially Boxman, for instance, that piece of music, even though I've heard it, I lost count, but David started writing that over 30 years ago.
Wow.
So if you can imagine how many times I must have heard that piece of music, to this day, I still get chills. Yeah. And it still makes me feel very emotional, because he's in that music. I can feel him in that music.
And he was the kind of person that had the empathy for somebody that might have been out on the street. And
Absolutely.
I could see him taking someone in or giving them money or helping. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I could easily see him doing that.
Absolutely. That was David down. I mean, I don't know whether your listeners know, but the proceeds from the sales of the album, David didn't want to make a profit. All the profit after duplication and postage costs and everything else, any personal profit has and will still go to Pancreatic Cancer Research UK, in memory of Eric.
Yeah.
That was what he wanted, and that is what I'm keeping up for my brother, because it meant the world to him to be able to give back to people.
Yeah. And I think one of the last things he told me, to add to that, in that interview that I had with him, he said, "Buy Boxman, not for me, but buy it to help the charities." And I was like, the minute I got off that interview, I ordered it. And if you haven't, please do it. Listen to it, because it's a fantastic album. You're going to love it. But do it even if you're not a big fan of Nova Cascade. Do it for the people that really need it. But believe me, if you listen to that album, you'll be glad you bought it. All right, let's talk about Echoes. I just kind of shortened it. What are your favorite tracks off the album? And you probably, it's like everyone says, they're like my children. I can't make a decision.
Yeah, it's very difficult. There's one particular track on there called Darkest Days. Now,
it's a fourth.
For me, that has like a double meaning. David wrote that when he was going through a period of depression. And the first line is June 23rd, 1991. That was the very first opening line. My brother's funeral was June 23rd, 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, it was almost like a prophetic type of thing. Yeah. You know, was he prophesying that, you know, so, but having said that, when you listen to the music, it's not doom and gloom and as you would think it to be. Even though David always had a common theme, there was commonality running all the way through his music. There was always about loss or about people getting hurt, or there was always something there running through all his music. But it still makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring you down.
No, you could feel the empathy. Yeah, you do.
Yes. Yeah, you can feel the empathy. I mean, the very first track I ever did for David was a song called Suburban Victim. Oh. Now, that he wrote, as I say, I think I recorded that maybe in 1990 or round about then. That is a song about domestic abuse in the suburbs. no one wants to know that that's going on, not in the pretty suburbs with, you know, little well-dressed housewives and businessmen going off to work. The lyrics are, no one admits they know.
Yeah.
She walks around smarting from cuts where he beat her.
Yeah.
But if you listen to that song, everyone thinks, oh, what a pretty little folk song, because it's not a miserable sounding song. David had a knack of putting messages in his music of subjects that other people wouldn't necessarily think of covering, unless it was going to be doom and gloom. But he had a way where he was able to engage with the audience. They liked it. They liked the sound. Didn't always get the message until they'd listened to it a few times and thought, oh, yeah, that's a song about somebody getting beaten or somebody being homeless or somebody, you know, suffering from heartbreak from a broken relationship. It's not until you've listened to it a couple of times that you actually realize the hidden messages inside, because David didn't want to bring people down with his music. He wanted people to enjoy listening to it. But at the same time, as I say, he was very clever. He was able to put messages within that.
Okay. Do you want to talk about some others? Because I think you mentioned 3 or 4 or maybe more.
Yeah. I mean, Dissolve, for instance, that's a beautiful piece of music. But again, that is a message really about somebody that was once young and wearing a beautiful wedding gown, and the fear of getting old and dissolving into nothing. But it's a beautifully put together piece of music, as indeed I would find it very, very, very difficult to have to choose from the 18 tracks. I mean, I had 57 tracks to
I was
choose
going to say, yeah,
to
I
put
think you had more. Yeah.
to choose 18. I mean, we've also got a 90-minute opera that he and I did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, his music, if I close my eyes and listen to the opera, he wrote the Mask of the Red Death, it was called. And it was so atmospheric. You close your eyes and you can see yourself in a damp, dank castle in the 1500s, people dying all around you, from the red death.
Yeah,
The plague or whatever.
plague,
But
that was it. I couldn't
yeah,
think of the word. Yeah.
yeah. But the music, you know, it's so cinematic. You close your eyes and you are transported there, as indeed with a lot of David's music. So for me to have to choose 18 out of the vast array of stuff that I've got, it wasn't an easy task.
Do you think you'll release that? Because I definitely would be interested in that, but I hope other people as well.
Well, I think other people would, but unfortunately, it was never finished. I have 90 minutes of it, and it was on the agenda to finish, but it just never happened. So I just put a pair of headphones on, lay down in the dark and listen, and I'm instantly transported. But I'm afraid that's how it's going to have to stay for the time being, because I don't actually think that there's anyone that could finish that in the same vein that David would have wanted. So I think it's just going to have to stay.
And that's all right. Yeah.
Where it is.
You're respecting his wishes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, as I say, there are so many songs. I really don't know which ones that I could talk about, you know, that are on that album. I mean, there was Wrapped in Silver. That's a beautiful piece. He released that as a single on vinyl, and that did quite well. And that's the one that I've just covered myself.
Yeah.
But I gave it a slightly different twist. I mean, have you heard the original that David did?
Both. I mean, the one that you included on this, and
Yeah.
then she also sent me about five or six, which we're going to talk about
Mm.
when we get to her part of this. But yeah, she's got a great voice. Speaking of great voices, it runs in the family. I was just going to ask you, some birds are never caged. That one just really,
Oh, it's beautiful,
and
isn't
I
it? It's
think
about
on my
having,
review, if I remember it correctly,
yeah,
I actually said that he was like the bird that never could be caged,
yeah, yeah.
and it felt like that. You tell me what you think and what he was thinking when he was making that, because
Well,
I mean they're all wonderful songs, but that one for some reason just really
oh, it
stuck.
resonates with me as well. It is beautiful. Um, I never really got to the bottom of what the meaning was on that, but my own interpretation is that um, it was a song about a lost love. That
Okay,
is my own personal interpretation. Um, you get people that flit in and out of your life for
yeah.
whatever reason. Some of them will stay, some of them are happy to be caged. And I think this one maybe just wasn't. So, you know, hopefully, Dave, I've got that right, but who knows?
Going back to that date again, because yeah, I think I don't know if I asked you or someone else, but the date on the one song, what what was the significance of that other than obviously, you're thinking of premonition, but what was was that his birthday or no,
No,
I think you
no,
said no. Yeah, I think I asked that. Go ahead.
yeah, no, he was born in January. June the 23rd, 1991. However did it feel to be betrayed? Your confidence mislaid. How did you cope? He's singing about somebody in the third person there, um, somebody that's been hurt on that particular date, um, that it was their darkest day. Um, he was singing in the third person, but my intuition tells me it was about him.
Hmm,
He was um,
hmm.
he was the one that was hurt and betrayed on that date.
Someone he was dating or family member or
It would have been, he wasn't married at that time, so it would have been someone that he was dating.
okay.
So yeah.
All right. And Carpe Diem, very important song,
Oh, absolutely
very
seize the
important
day.
idea, sees it. And
Yeah.
he absolutely did, as you can see, this body of work. And she said there's even more that, we haven't seen, as well as all the Nova Cascade he did. Um, yeah. Um, do you want to talk about that or any of the other songs?
I'm just trying to think. As I say, I made a few notes. Excuse me while I just have a quick
That's
thumb through
okay.
them.
No, take your time.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I don't really,
Okay.
but there's false faces, maybe. False faces. David
Yeah,
always
that
had,
was a good one.
yeah, David had a great deal of insecurities.
Yeah.
He would appear to be, I mean, he was a big guy. He was 6'5", big, bold, um, but inside he was the most gentle, kind, insecure person you could meet. And to the world, he would put on false faces. He would put on the big jovial joker and the, not that he was never the hard man. That was never him. That wasn't his style. But he would show a different face to whomever he was speaking with. Not everybody got to see the real David. And I believe that False Faces was a song about that. False faces, I wear them, is
Yeah.
one of the lines.
Yeah.
I am nothing without them now. So he became um, the need to be something he actually wasn't to certain people um, became a daily occurrence. Um, yeah, so it was awful that he was so insecure in himself.
Mm.
Um, he had to, not bravado, because bravado is a wrong word.
Yeah, he didn't seem like
David
that.
wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But as I say, he was very shy, very insular. Um, he described himself as the black sheep of the family.
Mm.
Why? We never got to the bottom of, but that's how he used to describe himself. Um, so I think when he did come out of his shell and meet people, he was always not sure whether they would like him for him. So therefore, he would use his false faces. He'd put on a big smile and a show for people. That's my take on it.
And what's your favorite song of his? If somebody said, you got to pick only one, which you never should have to pick one, but
That is that is such a difficult question. Um, I think if I had to, it would be the same one that my mum loved, and that would be Boxman.
yeah, I had a feeling
It
you
would
said
be,
that. Yeah,
because as I say, we watched that evolve. My mum and I watched that evolve over 30 years. It changed so many times. The theme stayed the same. That beautiful melody that he created stayed the same, but it went down. I think it was something originally like 18 or 19 minutes long.
yeah.
And then he cut little pieces and cut little pieces. I mean, I've got all the various originals that I listen to. I've got concerts that I can watch
Yeah.
where he'd go out and perform that song live. And the audience used to go crazy for that because he'd do the full 18 minutes when he was on stage with that.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a shame that it got cut down, but it didn't actually lose too much for him doing that. You can still hear the story, a man sitting on a bench with a poorly dealt hand of cards. The cards that life had dealt him weren't great, but he made the best of a bad situation. Low the hand life had dealt him. A
I
smile
remember
face, such beautiful words.
definitely.
Alongside there was a real message there. You know, think yourself lucky you've got a roof over your head.
Yeah.
This poor guy's living on a park bench with a bottle of wine and a box of, his belongings in a cardboard box for comfort.
Yeah.
There, but for the grace of God, go the rest of us.
But
David.
I remember how he definitely was so proud and happy, not proud, but happy to finally get this into an album and
Yeah,
definitely made it the title of the album. And
yeah,
the artwork is wonderful. But he just really, yeah, I would, I mean, there are some Nova Cascade songs that they've brought me to tears.
yeah.
This one really, you could tell it was very important to him.
Did you ever hear Plasticine and Paint?
Yeah, I think that's on one of the other, and I heard your version of
Yeah.
it.
Well,
And
that was again that we played that at his funeral. That was a song that he wrote about, memories of being with his mum as a child, and that he thought that, looking into the distance, um, he was going to get old and all the rest of it. And that was a tragedy because he wasn't allowed to get old.
mm,
So yeah, there are a lot of poignant songs that he wrote.
all right,
Um,
one other question, and this one's kind of off of this subject, but if you had to, because we're sort of transitioning into your work, and what is your favorite song of all time? Mine is easy. Supper's Ready. I've told everyone from Genesis. Um, there's nothing that I've listened to in all my years that I mean, Stairway to Heaven, there's a lot of great songs. I'm not saying that there
Mm.
aren't any great songs, but nothing touches the feeling I get when I hear Supper's, and it still happens today. Maybe the closest thing is Awaken from Yes. That somehow sometimes does similar things, but that's the one for me. But how about you? If
That's
somebody had to,
really difficult,
yeah,
difficult question because I've got so much
yeah. Well, you can
music
see how
in
much
me.
I've listened to.
I love so many different genres of music. Um, I mean, I love everything from classical
Yeah.
to rock and roll to a lot of progressive. Um, I even enjoy some opera and even a little bit of jazz. My mum was a jazz singer. She was very much like Peggy Lee. My
Oh,
dad was an operatic singer, very much like Caruso.
wow.
So that's where the music comes from in the family. We were,
Didn't know that. That's, yeah,
yeah.
that's wonderful. Thank you.
So I was brought up from a very, very early age. So I was told I was singing and dancing on my grandmother's kitchen table at the age of 2. Um, she had a big wooden table in the kitchen apparently, and I used to get up on that and sing. Um, and as I say, coming from a musical theatrical background, we had a theatrical boarding house. There were constantly um, members of the theatrical society staying with us. We were always on stage. Um, and I can't actually pinpoint one song that I can honestly say
Okay.
is my absolute favourite.
And you don't
But
have to.
I love Kate Bush
Yeah.
and I love the song that I covered.
All right. Let's talk about that in a minute because yeah,
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But yeah,
but
she's an amazing, amazing woman.
so if you had to nail it down to one, it would be Kate Bush, and
Yeah, I think it would be.
that's a fantastic choice, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Now, um, you did sing with David on his songs. You did some other work on his songs. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And then we're going to, and by the way, like you said earlier, she's been inspired by this whole process of putting together this tribute for her brother, that now she's interested in maybe coming back and singing herself. So we're going to talk about some of that and we'll come back to that Kate Bush song. But talk about those days when you were singing with, you mentioned some of them, but with David
Yeah.
and what that was like.
Well, David, back in the late 1980s, developed a love for going into the studio. He'd gone to, as I say, he'd learned how to play his instruments. He'd started writing music, um, lyrics, etc. And he said to me, "Will you do me a favor? Will you come to the studio with me and do some backing vocals for me?" And I said, "Well, I've never done any, I've never done any recording.
Singing,
Yes, I
recording.
sung as a child, and as I say, coming from a musical background, I'd occasionally jump up on stage at a panto or something and do a little bit, but I'd never done any recording." And he said to me, "I want you to come and have a go." He said, "Just a few lines here and there." He taught me what he wanted me to do, and he gave me the confidence to, every time he asked me, to go. Um, and each time my part would get bigger. And
Wow.
as I say, he'd build my confidence. He was an absolute mastermind at that. Even if I felt that I hadn't done a good job, he'd say to me, well, do you honestly think I'd let you sing on anything of mine if I didn't think you were good enough? He said, I've got half a dozen female friends that I could ask. He said, but I'm asking you. I want you to do it. So with that in mind, I'd happily go along to the Watershed Studios, and we recorded one track completely together, which is Vital Signs. That's on this album.
Yeah.
And then we were messing around one day in the studio, and I said to him, he played me a track called Place in Hell. And I really loved the melody. Now, this was quite an aggressive song in David's format. This was back when he was trying to find his musical identity. It wasn't the ambient progressive rock stuff that he later became well known for.
Yeah.
But this song, Place in Hell, I couldn't stop with this melody going through my head. And I said to him, how would you feel about me turning that into a dance track? Well, he was absolutely taken aback. He said, you think you could take one of my pieces of music and make that into a dance track? And I said, watch me. And I went away and I wrote lyrics. And with the help of James at Watershed Studio, we put together the track called Zero Gravity. Now that, as I say, started life off as David's music, Place in Hell.
Yeah.
And I got a real taste for it from there. And yeah, I was still going in and out of the studio with David, but then I'd started to branch off myself and do a few solo projects. But that was only because of what David had done.
The reinforcement.
He'd given me the confidence and allowed me to use his music to do that. He was so generous. Now, a lot of people would have said, no, that's my music. You know, you're not doing anything to it. You know, certainly not turning it into a dance track. It was
awesome. Yeah.
Anything but a dance track to start off with. But it got very well received, actually. It was played in local lab clubs. And we used to have a local radio station over here called Radio Victory. They featured it a couple of times as well. So, you know, it paid off in the end.
Definitely. All right, the song, because we kept it a mystery probably too long, but the song that she covered of Kate Bush's is The Man with the Child in His Eyes. And I've heard many, many female singers say that's their favorite of hers. And it is I mean, if you listen to it and you just, it just like what we were talking about with Dave, it immediately sort of locks you in and you're like, I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this whole thing. And she sent me a MP3, and no, she's not Kate Bush, but she did a very, very good job. And Louise, I want to mention to everyone, has a wonderful voice. I agree with David, and she really. I hope this is kind of her opening to anyone that is listening, and sometimes we do have record labels and other people listening. If you're out there, please ask her to send you some of these MP3s, or she's probably worked on some more stuff. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but give her a chance, because I think it'd be happy. David was absolutely right. She does have a great voice. What was it like recording that song?
The Man with the Child in His Eyes.
Yeah.
That was done sitting cross-legged on the floor in my lounge.
Oh my goodness.
Using just a home old laptop, basically.
Recorder. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was done in one take.
Wow.
That is a track that I would love to have a go at recording professionally. Most of the tracks that I've done, in recent years have been done at home, literally sitting cross-legged on the floor using an old laptop. Nothing special, just cheap backing tracks that I've bought, more like karaoke. But I love singing. It gives me joy. It gives me, to me now, I've taken the baton from David. I'm the only one in the family now, other than my 9-year-old grandson, who's just learning, and he's very talented. I'm the only one now that still does music. And all the way back through the generations of my family, there's always been a singer, songwriter, musician of some sort. And just because David is not here anymore, I wanted to take the baton. And even at, my age, I'm not saying, it's going to be great guns by any stretch of the imagination. But I think my love of music and my passion hopefully comes across. And I'm still recording bits of music that David wrote. In fact, I'm going into the studio in the next couple of weeks to record again a couple of tracks. One is fantastic. I really can't wait to get started on it. It's a song called Stranded. And it's a song, the opening line is, Paul Simon once said, there must be 50 ways to leave your lover.
Your lover.
I don't agree. That's the opening line. Again, that's a song that David wrote. And I'm itching to get into the studio and do my version of that. There's another song that David wrote on the album, Back from the Brink, The Long Winter. That's a beautiful piece of music, and I intend to do a copy of that. I just love music, and I'd like to think that people would enjoy listening to it. But even if they don't, I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for me. Yeah. I'm doing it for David, and I'm doing it most of all for the love of it.
All right. Well, are you then working on a new album or a debut album, or you may have released albums in the past? Yeah, I think you said you did some solo work in the past. Are you thinking of putting together an album of original material or some of these songs from Dave, or a combination?
Well, if I thought there was an audience out there for it, then I most definitely would. I would love nothing more than to put together an album of both original stuff. I've written, I think I sent you Lost In yesterday.
Yes.
That was one that I wrote myself. That's all original. I'd like to do, and as obviously, as I say, Zero Gravity, which was a collab between David and myself. I would love to do a mix of songs that people already know, such as a cover of The Man with the Child in His Eyes, and some of Dave's stuff and some never heard stuff. But whether there'd be any interest in it remains to be seen.
I'm interested. No.
Yes, no, it costs a lot of money putting these things together. And if there's no one that's interested in hearing it, then I'll remain sitting cross-legged on the front room floor, doing it for my own benefit.
Well, there you go, everyone. Listen to what she said, and please watch this and then go to her social media and say, we want to hear it. Because I want to hear it. I definitely want to hear it. And she sent me, like I said, 5 or 6 of these, and they're beautiful already. But yeah, if you had more studio time and professionals that know how to put everything together,
absolutely,
yeah, they'd sound even better. And not that they don't sound good.
No, I must admit,
there's people that know how to do these things.
But people have been surprised when I've told them, they said, oh, where did you record that? And when I've said
Wow.
to them, well, using a laptop that's about 15 years old, sitting cross-legged with a cheap backing track, you
Wow.
know, if you can produce something that's reasonable sounding doing that, it does make you wonder what would happen if you got the right backing. But
All right, but you're still kind of in the planning,
yeah, very much so.
more so let's see if there's a market. And it
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, you gotta, like you said,
yeah.
there's a lot of money that
Well,
uh
this is it. I mean, I'm no youngster anymore, but
yeah,
why should age be a barrier to doing
that's
something
true.
you love? You know, why should that be a barrier?
I've had several singers tell me that you get better with age.
Oh,
And
I've been told, yeah.
yeah, and I at first I was like, really? But
Mm.
no, I listened out to like Peter Gabriel and people like that, and not that he didn't sound good
No,
back in the 70s, but yeah, there's that maturity. You slow your delivery. It's just, I don't know all the essence of it, but I'm just saying that yeah, I agree with him now that
well,
yes,
yeah,
you do. Yeah,
a good point that I'd like to make there is that one of the MP3s I sent you was the one that I wrote originally called Lost in Yesterday over 30 years ago. Now, if you remember, I said to you, I'm singing along with myself on that.
mm. Yeah.
That's 30 years ago, is the backing vocals. And 3, 4 weeks ago was
The
me now.
the leads.
So you can definitely see that my voice has matured.
Yeah.
Um, you can tell that it's the same person singing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely think that my voice has improved with age.
Yeah.
Um, and let's hope that it continues that way. I have had some issues with reflux problems, which causes problems with my throat occasionally,
Yeah.
but I seem to be getting that under control now. So
Good.
I'm not going to let it deter me. I'm just itching now to get back in the studio and record these 2 tracks that Dave wrote, um, and then see where it goes from there.
But let's hope she does it because I'm like I said, I'll be one to buy it and want to hear it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we covered a lot of ground. There's probably still more to cover. Do you have any additional question or answers or questions that you'd like to, or things that you'd like to discuss? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, not really. The only thing that I would like to have the opportunity to do is to thank the loyal Nova Cascade fans
Yeah,
that have been with David right since day one. Without those fans, these albums would never have existed.
yeah,
They backed him financially through the Kickstarter program. Are you familiar with that?
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of bands
yeah,
are using it.
absolutely. So, my absolute heartfelt thanks to them for all of their love and their support. And even after his passing, the amount of outpouring of love that I've received from these
Yeah,
people and the support for the new album has been incredible.
yeah,
And we're raising a lot of money for pancreatic cancer, which was David's chosen charity. Um, and as I say, that means the world to me. The fact that people haven't just gone, oh well, he's gone now. We don't want any more. We're
yeah,
not going to support him anymore. They're still there. The Nova Cascade fans are loyal and lovely, wonderful people, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
yeah. No, that is. I didn't ask you that and should have. How is it? How well is it doing? Boxman as well. Is it still doing very?
That's still available for sale. It's the sales of that have slowed down slightly, but um, I haven't been doing any promoting. Maybe I should start promoting that one again. I've been concentrating solely on echoes
Sure.
purely because, the reason I did this was I wanted people to see where David started.
Yeah.
These were tracks that he never would have otherwise let see the light of day. They were all experimental tracks. This was him trying to find his musical identity. But I felt that people needed to see where he came from, how he grew, musically. And
You
he's,
haven't had any, I hope you haven't had any negative feedback.
I haven't, no,
Good, good.
no,
Yeah,
no, I haven't.
I would think even diehards would be like, yeah, I want to hear where
Yeah,
he came from and where he started.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There was I mean, the thing with this album, is that it's mostly vocals, isn't it? There's a lot of beautiful melodies and things on there, but unlike Boxman, for instance, where he's got a 28-minute just total musical piece,
instrumental, yeah.
on this album there is vocals all the way through. It's a totally different album, but this is where he started. This is where he learned his craft.
Yeah.
And I just felt it was important for Nova Cascade fans to be able to see where he started, how he started, when he started,
Yeah.
and to know more about him through listening to this album. And I think I've done that.
No, I think you have too, and
Yeah,
you've shown that he had a lot of support through family and friends and
that's right.
the other people that are on the album
Yeah, I
that
mean, he could,
weren't
he could,
necessarily on a Nova Cascade album.
yeah, yeah. He wasn't hit back in those days. There wasn't anything like a Kickstarter. He relied on the goodwill of family and friends. We'd scraped together enough money between us to go into the studio to record one track. Um, you know, once he got the Nova Cascade thing going and the Kickstarter, it made life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But without those early days of scrimping and saving and just recording one track here and one track there, Nova Cascade wouldn't have been born.
Yeah.
So it was very important for me to let people see where, from the seeds came a mighty oak.
Yeah.
you
Definitely.
know,
Definitely.
yeah. So
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? Uh,
no, I don't think so. I mean, just as I want to thank you very much for your
Thank
time
you.
and your support. It means an awful lot.
Well,
Um,
we definitely, this story needed to be told, and I'm glad you followed through and did that. And not just the interview, but releasing this album.
yeah.
But yeah, thank you for all you've done, and I wish you the best of luck. I really hope
Thank you very much.
maybe you do get a Kickstarter started, or maybe that Nova Cascade group will say, "Hey, we heard this. Let's help her. Let's get it going." That would be
That
great.
would that would be a dream come true. It
Yeah,
really would. It really
this,
would.
she has a great voice. So you gotta at least give her a chance to make one album and see what happens from there. But
Thank you. Thank you very much.
anything else? Otherwise, I'll
No, I don't think so. I think that's we pretty much covered everything.
and please continue to donate to the pancreatic cancer. Uh, purchase as many of these albums as you can. And it's going to a very good cause. There's a lot of people that need that help. And thank you for you guys being willing to do that. And thank you, Louise Hilborne, for taking your time to talk about Echoes from the Empty Chair. And let's hope you'll be back here and the Progressive Rock Central talking about your solo album. I
Well,
really.
I have got a title. I have got a track
Oh,
that David wrote all about me. It was called Different to This.
okay.
And that is what I would use as an album title. It would
Yeah.
be called Different to This. And it tells the story of a woman who believed that her life wouldn't be filled with tears. She wanted it to be different. And that is, without going into all my personal life, I went through a rocky relationship, and he wrote that song about me. And it's one that has stayed with me for a long time. And that would be, if I was ever going to make an album, it would be called Different to This.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much, Louise. Don't leave. I'm gonna just stop the recording. But
Okay.
but yeah, thank you for taking the time out to talk with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. Let me